Private Eli Mercer stood at the edge of the landing platform, watching the giant silver banners of the Zerial Dominion sway in the wind. The space station buzzed with noise, dozens of species speaking different languages, officials hurrying, past in colorful robes and droids zipping by carrying documents and glowing tablets. Eli was the only human in sight. He adjusted his collar and looked again at the assignment pad. It clearly said, Companion Officer Assigned, Princess Sailari of the Zerial Royal Line. His stomach dropped every time he read it. The Intercultural Companion Program was supposed to be a peaceful exchange of ideas and traditions. Two individuals from different species would live and train together to better understand each other's ways. It was a symbol of unity. In theory, it was a good idea. In practice, Eli had just been assigned to a member of a royal alien house, known for chaos. Everyone knew about Princess Sailari. She was famous across the galaxy for her unpredictable nature. One day she was dancing on the roof of the Galactic Council building. The next, she was challenging nobles to hoversword duels over minor disagreements. She was beautiful, powerful, and completely impossible to handle, and now she had a human assistant. The elevator behind him opened with a soft hiss. Eli turned and froze. A tall figure stepped forward, flanked by two guards in gold armor. Her skin shimmered a soft violet under the lights, her long silver hair flowing like silk. Her eyes glowed a pale blue, sharp and curious. Princess Sailari wore a long coat stitched with moving patterns, stars that blinked and shifted as she moved. She looked at Eli, then smirked. "You're assigned to me, human?" Her voice was musical but playful. "Prepare to fulfill my every romantic request." Eli blinked. "Excuse me?" She stepped closer, inspecting him like someone checking a new pet. "Yes, I said romantic. That's what these programs are about, aren't they? Shared rituals, bonding experiences, emotional exchanges. My people call that romance." Eli cleared his throat. "On Earth, we call that diplomacy." She laughed. "Then your Earth is far more boring than I imagined." The guards gave each other a glance but said nothing. Sailari turned and began walking toward the central hall. "Come along, human. Let's begin your training. There is much to do." Eli followed, still unsure if this was a dream or some kind of cosmic joke. The Zerial Palace section on the station was massive, filled with glowing crystals, soft floating lights, and strange plants that moved slightly as they passed. Sailari walked with confidence, speaking quickly about her daily schedule, her pets, which included a talking flower and a small cloud beast, and her favorite sport, zero-gravity dance combat. "I hope you're flexible," she said without turning. "Some of these routines require flips, and if you fall, you float for hours." Eli kept quiet, trying not to think too hard about what he'd gotten into. Finally, they arrived at her quarters. The doors opened with a soft hum, revealing a room that looked more like an art museum than a bedroom. Floating sculptures hung in the air and a hologram of a galaxy slowly spun in the middle of the space. Sailari turned and looked at him seriously for the first time. "I know what they say about me," she said. "That I'm wild, that I'm strange, that no one wants to be assigned to me." Eli stayed silent. She smiled, but this time it wasn't mocking. "Good. You're smart enough not to deny it. But you should know something. Those who expect normal things from me always end up disappointed. I don't want a servant. I want someone curious, someone who asks questions, and someone who doesn't run when things get strange." Eli finally spoke. "I'm not here to run. I'm here to learn." She nodded slowly. "Then we'll see if Earth has truly sent me something interesting." There was a pause between them. The silence wasn't uncomfortable. It was filled with the quiet buzz of something new beginning. Then Sailari clapped her hands. "Now, first romantic request. I want you to write me a song about Earth's moon, but make it sound like a love letter." Eli stared. "I don't write songs." "You do now." She grinned. "You'll find the music room on the left. I'll be judging your poem by moonrise." As Eli walked away, he muttered under his breath, "This is going to be the weirdest job I've ever had." And he wasn't wrong. Eli sat on the floor of the Zyreal music chamber, holding a strange stringed instrument shaped like a half-moon. It shimmered with a blue glow and vibrated slightly in his hands like it had a heartbeat. There were other instruments in the room too, floating drums, glowing flutes, and a wall panel that played sounds just by touch. But none of them made sense to Eli. "Write a love song about Earth's moon," she had said, as if it were the most normal thing in the universe. Eli stared at the curved ceiling above. A soft projection of Zyreal's sky covered it, filled with unfamiliar constellations. Somewhere far away, Earth's moon still circled his home planet. Calm, silent, untouched. He took a deep breath and tried to recall his training. This assignment wasn't just about fun or strange requests. It was about peace, about proving humans could work with other species, even difficult ones like Princess Sayalari. He plucked a note on the instrument. It hummed gently, echoing through the room. He closed his eyes and began whispering lines under his breath, slowly forming lyrics in his head. "You were the light in my longest night, a silver whisper in the sky's wide silence, watching from far, guiding my path. You were never just a rock, you were my calm." He didn't know if it was poetry or nonsense, but it was honest. After 2 hours, he had a simple song. Nothing grand, but enough to show he'd tried. He stood, walked to the main room, and found Sayalari sitting on a floating couch, feeding sugar petals to a small glowing creature that purred in her lap. "You actually wrote it?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "I did my best," Eli replied. "It's short." She leaned forward. "Sing." Eli hesitated. He had never sung, in front of anyone. But her expression was serious now, less mocking, more curious. So he took a breath and played the soft notes, singing in a low voice. The room fell silent except for his melody. The strange instrument added a dreamy echo to every word. Sayalari didn't blink. Her pet stopped moving. Even the crystals on the ceiling dimmed slightly as if listening too. When he finished, he lowered the instrument. "That's it." For a moment, Sayalari said nothing. Then she leaned back, lips curling into a slow smile. That was oddly beautiful human. Eli blinked. "You liked it?" "I didn't expect to," she said honestly. "But yes, I think your moon must be a lovely place." Eli gave a small nod, surprised at the calm in her tone. Then her smirk returned. "Second, romantic request," she announced. "A flight through the shard rings." "The what?" She stood and tossed him a helmet. "You'll see. Dress warm. It gets cold in open space." 2 hours later, they were flying in a sleek star glider through the glowing shard rings of planet Corvula. The rings weren't made of normal rock. They were long, crystal shards that sparkled like glass and sang when they were disturbed. Sayalari flew the ship with wild joy, spinning and twisting through the shining maze like it was a game. Eli sat beside her, gripping the seat. "Do you do this often?" he asked, teeth clenched as the ship skimmed past a glowing spike. "Only when I want to impress someone," she laughed, flipping the glider upside down. The control lights blinked and a low warning sounded. Eli glanced at the panel. "We're too close." "I know," she grinned. "Romantic, isn't it?" "Not the word I'd use." She laughed louder, her silver hair flying in every direction. But then, as they flew between 2 giant crystal columns, she slowed the ship. The rings sparkled around them like a frozen storm. The glider hovered in silence, and Sayalari turned to him. "Tell me the truth," she said softly. "Why did you join this program?" Eli looked at her, surprised by the sudden seriousness. "Because I wanted to prove that humans can belong here, that we're not just war survivors or lost wanderers. We're builders too. Friends, learners." She nodded slowly. "I didn't choose you, but I'm starting to think maybe the stars did." They sat there, floating among the glowing rings, watching the quiet beauty of space. No jokes, no challenges, just silence. After a long pause, Sayalari spoke again. "Third romantic request," Eli groaned. "Of course," She smiled. I want you to teach me how to dance. Earth style, something slow, something real. Eli sighed. You're serious? Completely. He looked out at the glittering rings, then back at her. Well, he said, standing in the small glider cabin. Prepare your feet, princess. You might regret this. She stood too, one brow raised. Oh, human. I never regret anything. And under the starlight of 1,000 alien suns, a human and a Zyreal princess began to dance. Awkwardly, slowly, but together. The halls of the Galactic Council buzzed with quiet voices and careful glances. Eli Mercer, the human assigned to Princess Sayalari, walked beside her with steady steps. The two of them made an unusual pair, a tall, serious human in simple clothes, and a striking alien princess who moved like she owned the place. Sayalari's smirk was more subtle now, but it was still there, a silent challenge to anyone who doubted their bond. News of their pairing had spread quickly. Some council members whispered behind closed doors. Others openly questioned the wisdom of Earth sending a human to work with such a strong-willed alien noble. Earth thinks it can play in the big leagues, one older diplomat muttered to a fellow counselor. Let's see how long that human lasts. Eli heard the words but kept his expression calm. He had learned early that in this galaxy, respect was earned slowly, often with patience and small victories. Sayalari, meanwhile, ignored the whispers. She focused on her mission, teaching Eli about Zyreal culture and showing him that even the most strange requests were part of a deeper meaning. One afternoon, as they walked through a grand garden filled with glowing plants and crystal fountains, Eli's communicator beeped softly. He glanced at it, a secure message from his commander. Be careful, the message read. Your role is more important than you realize. Some in the council don't want this partnership to succeed. Eli's brow furrowed. He looked at Sayalari, who caught his gaze and smiled slightly. They fear what we might become, she said, softly. Two worlds united can shake the stars. But not everyone was pleased. Sayalari's mother, Empress Virana, was a stern and proud ruler. She ruled the Zyreal dominion with an iron will and expected her daughter to follow tradition. That meant marrying a noble of their own kind to strengthen political ties. Not a human. At the next council meeting, Empress Virana's voice echoed through the chamber. Sayalari's duties require her to choose a mate from among the Zyreal houses. This partnership with a human is an interesting experiment but must not interfere with our customs. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to Sayalari. She stood tall and faced her mother. I respect your wishes, mother, she said, voice steady. But I have chosen to continue this partnership, not because it is easy, but because it is right. Murmurs filled the room again. Some nodded in approval, others frowned. Eli watched Sayalari with admiration. Her courage was fierce, her spirit unbreakable. That evening, back in the palace quarters, Sayalari and Eli shared a quiet moment. You could have chosen any human, Sayalari said, her tone gentle. Why me? Eli thought for a moment. Maybe because you don't hide behind rules. You face challenges head on. You want to learn and grow, not just follow orders. She smiled, a real smile this time. Then we will teach each other well. Their partnership was no longer just a program or an assignment. It was becoming something more. But Eli knew the whispers would not stop. Some wanted to see the human fail, to keep the old ways strong. He took a deep breath. We'll show them a new way, he said quietly. Sayalari's eyes shone with determination. Together. The Festival of Flame Hearts was the most important celebration on Zyreal. Every year it marked the joining of souls, whether for friendship, alliance, or love. The sky above the capital city glowed with lanterns, and the streets buzzed with music and laughter. Eli had never seen anything like it. Princess Sayalari wore a flowing dress that shimmered like molten silver. Her eyes sparkled as she moved through the crowds, greeting nobles and citizens alike. Despite the celebrations, she was focused. This festival is more than just fun, she explained to Eli as they walked toward the Grand Plaza. It is a chance to show the world what partnership means here. Eli nodded. He felt the weight of the moment, knowing all eyes would be on them. When they reached the plaza, a circle of ancient stone pillars rose around them. The crowd hushed as the master of ceremonies stepped forward. Tonight, his voice echoed, we celebrate the Flamehearts. Those who join hands in the fire's glow will share a bond for life. Sayalari turned to Eli and smirked. I want you to be my partner in this ritual. Eli blinked. Me? Really? She nodded, her eyes gleaming. Yes, human. Are you ready to dance in the fire? The crowd watched closely as Eli and Sayalari stepped into the circle. A soft blue flame flickered to life at its center. Music rose, slow and steady, filling the air with warmth. Sayalari reached for Eli's hand and smiled. Just follow me. Eli took a deep breath and moved as she did, trying to match her graceful steps. The dance was unlike anything he had learned, a mix of flowing movements and careful balance. At first he stumbled, but Sayalari's steady hand kept him upright. Slowly, he found the rhythm. As they danced, Eli felt the crowd's mood shift. Where there had been doubt, now was respect. Where there had been whispers, now was silence. The fire in the center grew brighter, casting a soft glow on their faces. When the dance ended, Sayalari leaned close and whispered, You did well, human. Eli smiled, feeling a new kind of warmth. Not from the flames, but from the connection between them. Later, as the festival continued, a noble approached Sayalari with a challenge. You risk dishonor by pairing with a human, he said coldly. Will you reject this alliance before it damages your house? Sayalari's eyes flashed. My house is strong because of choices, not fear. Eli stepped forward, surprising even himself. I am here to learn and grow, not to harm. Together, we build bridges. The noble stared but said nothing. Others in the crowd nodded in agreement. The festival ended with fireworks that painted the sky in colors Eli had never seen. Walking back to the palace, Sayalari linked her arm with his. Tonight was a victory, she said softly. Not just for us, but for what we can become. Eli looked at her and knew that this was only the beginning. The days after the Festival of Flamehearts were filled with hope and excitement, but the shadows of politics never truly left the palace halls. Eli and Sayalari's growing bond was becoming harder for some nobles to accept. One morning, as Eli trained with Sayalari's bodyguard, a sudden message arrived. It was an official order. Eli was to be detained for questioning about cultural sabotage. He blinked in disbelief. Sabotage? What could he have done wrong? When he asked Sayalari, her face darkened. Someone wants to break us, she said quietly. We need to be careful. The accusation was shocking. Eli was accused of disrespecting sacred Zyreal customs, of spreading Earth ideas meant to weaken the Dominion. The trial was set to be public, making it a spectacle that could ruin both their reputations. In the courtroom, the council chambers were packed. Aliens from many worlds sat in silence, watching the proceedings with sharp eyes. Eli stood in the center, calm but tense. Sayalari sat beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. The prosecutor spoke harshly, listing false evidence and twisted facts. This human has deliberately ignored our laws and customs. Such disrespect cannot be tolerated. Eli listened, then asked for a chance to speak. I came here to learn and to serve, he said clearly. If I made mistakes, they were out of respect, not harm. Sayalari rose next, her voice strong. I have watched Eli face challenges no one else dared. He has wrestled star beasts, danced in our festivals, and stood by me without fear. She looked directly at the council. Who here has done the same? Who here has shown more courage than a human assigned to a princess with every reason to turn away? There was a long silence. Some faces softened, but others remained cold. The judge finally spoke. This court must consider the evidence and the future of the Dominion carefully. Eli and Sayalari left the chambers, unsure of the verdict, but certain their fight was not over. In the quiet of the palace, Sayalari confessed, "I will not abandon you, Eli. But we need a plan." Together they began to seek allies, those who believed in change and unity. The road ahead was uncertain, but their resolve was stronger than ever. The palace halls were quiet at night, but the tension between Eli and Sayalari was louder than any noise. Eli knew the trial's outcome would come soon, and it might not be in his favor. Sayalari met him in her chambers, eyes serious but calm. "I have a plan," she said. "The council wants to control you. They want to keep us apart." Eli nodded. "What can we do?" "We leave," she said simply. "Tonight." Eli blinked in surprise. "Escape? But where?" "To a place where no one can follow us. Deep space. I have an old star cruiser hidden near the outer docks." That night, cloaked in shadows, Sayalari, Eli, and her trusted bodyguard slipped through secret passages. The station's usual guards were distracted by festival cleanup crews. They reached the star cruiser, a sleek ship with faded paint but fast engines. Eli felt a strange excitement mixed with fear. "Ready?" Sayalari asked, handing him a flight helmet. Eli took it and smiled, nervously, "As ready as I'll ever be." The engines roared to life as they left the station behind, stars stretching in every direction. For hours they flew through quiet space, far from the politics and dangers they left behind. In the small cabin, Sayalari turned to Eli. "I have to tell you something." Eli looked at her, curious. "When I agreed to this partnership, I thought it was just a game, a way to pass time. But you surprised me. You showed me kindness, patience, and courage." Eli's heart quickened. "I didn't expect to fall for you." Eli smiled softly. "I feel the same." Suddenly, the ship's computer beeped, revealing a hidden data file in the Star Cruiser's archive. Sayalari opened it and gasped. The files showed proof that the accusations against Eli were planned by a rival noble family, meant to keep Sayalari under control and prevent Earth from gaining influence. "This changes everything," Sayalari whispered. Eli nodded. "We have the truth now. We can fight this." They decided to return, not as fugitives, but as partners ready to face the council with proof of the conspiracy. As the Star Cruiser turned back toward the station, both felt the weight of the coming storm and the hope of a new future. The grand hall of the Galactic Council was packed once more. This time, Eli and Sayalari stood not as accused and defendant but as partners united by truth and courage. The hidden files they had uncovered were laid bare before the council, evidence of a plot to divide the Zerial Dominion and keep Earth weak. The councilors murmured, shocked by the betrayal within their own ranks. Empress Virana, Sayalari's mother, watched quietly, her face unreadable. Sayalari stepped forward. "This partnership is not just for me. It is for all who seek unity between worlds." Eli nodded, standing beside her. "We came here to learn from each other, to grow stronger together. No one should be judged by where they come from, but by what they do." The room fell silent. Then, one by one, council members began to voice their support. An elder diplomat said, "Perhaps this is the future we need, where different worlds stand together, not apart." The Empress finally spoke. "Sayalari has proven her strength and Earth has shown it as a worthy ally. I will not stand in the way of progress." With that, the council approved Sayalari's right to keep Eli as her official companion. Outside, the crowds cheered and word spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Days later, Sayalari turned to Eli with that familiar smirk. "So, human, ready for your next romantic task?" Eli smiled and shook his head. "As long as it doesn't involve sky beasts again." She laughed and took his hand. Together they walked toward a future where love and friendship could truly cross the stars.